So what happened was my bandmates that were there said, at the time that wedding had reminded them of like, oh, it was a beautiful wedding. Then it degraded to like a Burn the Baby show, which was like what our band was, which was like a huge party band. Right. And then it deteriorated into the worst like dive bar you've ever been to. I mean, there was points in which, my sister, there was things being said to my sister, like, she was flashing people. The girl that I had hired to do the camera work was like to do the photos. There were 0 pictures from the reception because she was so drunk. She didn't take any pictures. And then she tried to make out with me on the dance floor. Jeez. It was a party, man. I mean, that's like, amazing. I think that like there, just to put it this way, the place was rented until I can't remember, maybe 5 to 11. Oh yeah. There's all that Wynwood stuff. It got shut down early because the business, the place had, we were too out of hand. There was debauchery going left and right. And, yeah, it was a wild time. I could say that. But that's what weddings should be. Just debauchery.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're single, go find someone who's not and get down and dirty.
My dad, I don't even think I've asked him before. He doesn't even remember like his wedding, and then his best friend, who was his best man. It's that picture I've shown you guys of my dad and that guy at the Fontainebleau. Yeah.
Yeah.
He got so drunk that he drove up my dad's front lawn in his Jeep, threw the tuxedo on the front porch, and drove to Lauderdale. And he's been there ever since. So that's what happened at my dad's wedding. Like he was like so
a guy moved.
fucked up. A guy moved. Yeah.
So check this out. My best friend got drunk, as we all did. But at this time, he decided he was a vampire, and
I'm a vampire.
He bit, was going around biting people, and he actually bit the mother-in-law, and like drew blood on her arm. And like when we came back 2 weeks later from our like honeymoon, she had this huge purple spot. Jeez. And he was never allowed in their house because
I wouldn't want a vampire in my house.
I know.
If you don't invite him,
was he not allowed because you didn't? Yeah, you didn't invite him.
Says that.
Zach, I wanted to thank you for liking the La Barba Cigars Facebook page today. You've only worked for us for a year.
A year, yeah, it's been a year.
It was good timing. Thanks for all the love on that.
I figured as long as I'm selling it, we're good.
Yeah. I noticed that today. I'm like, I can't believe he hasn't liked the page yet.
You know what? It just popped up on my like, you should like these pages. So I like.
Oh, so you did it because you were told to.
It only took
Facebook told me to.
Yeah.
What
Antoine, when we start the show, we're gonna play a little intro, and I'm gonna put you in like the virtual waiting room, and then Jeremy will introduce you proper once we kick off the show and bring you on for the first segment. So yeah, I think we're ready to go. Everybody ready to do their part?
I was born ready.
All right, well, let's do it live.
1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots.
Well,
Hi,
hello.
Jeremy. What's happening?
Hey, buddy. Oh, you know.
We need to do our first shot.
All right. I'm just going with the Sambuca again because I didn't think about it this week.
Me either. So Tito's.
I love how highbrow we are. You know, it's just like, let's drink whatever we have laying around.
Yeah.
Let's impress everybody with our extensive collection of alcohol, which we both have. And this is what we end up drinking.
Right. And I mean, it's, why be pretentious?
I agree.
Cheers.
I mean, I think I'm pretty snobbish, but hey, cheers, my friend.
The guy that looks homeless who is a gem of a man, according to our
I want to make a shirt. I don't want to wear my
Shot number 1.
Oh.
I got to get a new computer.
What's wrong with your computer?
Well, it's so dark, and then also my speaker is blown.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Do you have some of his orange cello?
Yes, I do. And actually, I will switch to that. I'll mix it up.
All right.
No, I'll do it next week, buddy, because I'm already sitting, and that would require me getting up. And we're live. I can't leave now. I'm too far in.
You're deep in. I was gonna name if I ever had a brewery, I was gonna have a cider, and I was gonna call it Deep In Cider, and then I was gonna have like a blonde ale, and I was gonna call it Deep In. Like the name of the brewery would be Deep In, like DEEPIN, but then I was gonna have Deep In Cider, and then like a blonde ale, and it would be a Deep In Blonde, and then Deep In Abbey, Deep In Brown. I thought that was pretty clever.
The Deep In Brown kind of goes south, my friend. I don't know about that one.
So that wasn't that funny. I thought it was funny when I came up with it, but apparently you don't think it's that funny.
No, I think it's great. I also thought of to have a brewery and have, how like you have all these coffee stouts, and so I was like, man, they need to use that weasel shit, which I know Beer Geek did, but where they messed up is they should have called it the shit.
They should have, yes.
Because that would have been the best name for that beer ever, to use that weasel, coffee that goes through.
I can order it and then just have a coffee called the shit.
Okay, maybe we should do that. We'll make it a 4 Shots exclusive.
Thanks, Will. Which one's Kathy Lee? Is the question. Jeremy is definitely Kathy Lee. I feel like he has Chardonnay at 9:00 in the morning.
Does that mean I'm going to be canceled though? Oh, wait, no, Kathy. Wait, is Kathy Lee? No, she's the one that had the sweatshops and all that stuff.
Probably.
Yeah, and she got all busted for it, for having her clothing line and stuff like that. That was having all the stuff was being made at sweatshops. So fuck her.
Yeah. Anyway, we have some business to attend to. So this show is about basically nothing, as most of you know. We get drunk and talk to our friends. So basically we have a couple segments. We have Fresh Shit, which is the first thing we do. Then we have a guest. Then we have Zach, wherever he's doing. Maybe we get to him. Maybe we don't. We don't really care, especially because he just liked the La Barba Cigars Facebook page today for the first time. So I don't even know if we're going to put him in or not. And then we have the whoever wants to come on and ask some questions segment. We call it Shoot Your Shot. But some housekeeping real quick. We're live every Tuesday on Facebook and YouTube. You can also catch us the day after on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, etc., etc. So just look up 4 Shots with Tony and Jeremy, and also shoot us an email if you want to be a guest or have any comments about the show. Brandon's running it right down the little side there. Anyway, so Jeremy, who do we got tonight? And let's get into Fresh Shit.
Yeah, man. Well, tonight we have a good friend of ours, but he's the senior editor for Cigar and Leisure Magazine, amongst other things, and he hosts his own show, Deep Cuts, with Antoine Reid. That feels so anticlimactic. I'm trying to do the crowd.
Oh, hey, look at that.
We should get a fake canned crowd clap for when we
Yeah,
bring
we
the
need
people
like
on.
one of the audience, like the applause things for
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Brandon, we need you to do something.
Yeah, I'll get right on
What's
that.
up,
I'm
Mom?
going to do it right now.
Hey,
Welcome.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Antoine.
thank you.
Hey, Brandon, don't you have a thing for our segment?
Well,
Oh, he's showing Cigar and Leisure Magazine.
Yeah, I just wanted to show.
Are we going to get sued for posting pictures of this on our show?
No.
All right, sweet.
That took a lot longer than I thought it would.
There was a deciding factor. He's like,
No.
I like you guys. We're good.
Well, I'll play the intro for our new segment, or the new intro for the segment here, you guys.
Whoa.
That is one big pile of shit.
I don't feel so good.
The mother rhino is giving birth.
Its wrapper is a piece of the original U.S. Constitution.
Coming out of me like lava.
At the rate you're carrying on, that's a small fortune going up in smoke. Well, I like smoking.
Well, you're really doing it, aren't you? You're just shitting in the street.
I would just like to say that it's only for a split second, but there's something I'm very proud and near to my heart in that fresh shit segment.
We lost like 6 viewers after that battle.
I don't understand what people they don't like entertainment, but the last picture is a drawing of a man pooping. That's actually, I think, supposed to be me, and my 7-year-old drew it for me. And it was so funny because when we were compiling this together, I was like, hey guys, we should end that with a picture of my daughter's drawing. And it's pretty epic. It's a man in the forest pooping. Why she drew it, I have no idea, but she was really proud of it. Yep.
Woo! I like the woo.
Woo! He feels good. He just found relief.
Are you sure that's not you?
I think it is, but I like the Christmas tree because it's like celebration of poop and Christmas all at the same time.
She's definitely your daughter. That's for sure.
Yeah, I feel bad for her. That's for damn sure.
I feel like you could have drawn that last week.
What
or,
if I actually...
Or on any Tuesday night.
Right. Brandon has too much time on us. What are you talking about? These are gems we're giving to you guys. Like,
this is a professional show.
Yeah.
You know how much Brandon gets paid to do this? Nothing.
So I know, Tony, you'll have a thing, but one of the thing oh no, we're doing fresh shit, so let's talk about that.
Yeah. So my fresh shit's pretty funny. Today I got an email, and I'm not actively like seeking employment because I pretty much have a couple jobs. So I don't like have a headhunting company or anything like that. Like actively, like I'm not trying to get a job. I have one, but I got an email today that says, "Hello, Anthony. The Youngstown Urban Minority Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Outreach Program Incorporated has an opening for a prevention coordinator in their Youngstown, Ohio location. We thought you might be interested in this opportunity. To explore this further, you'll find more details and the application instructions on the job details page below. Prevention coordinator at Youngstown Urban Minority Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Outreach Program, Inc. Have a great day. Kimball Group."
I think you should consider it.
I think I'd be really good at preventing youth from alcohol and drugs. But I'm wondering if somebody was like playing a prank on me, or if they just put my email into like, because you're a degenerate, Tony. So anyway, I might be leaving to become a drug and alcohol urban minority outreach counselor.
Makes sense. So yeah, Antoine, our fresh shit section is really just anything this week that happened that impressed you, or you saw a movie you liked, or heard music you like, or good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. Do you have anything? What's your fresh shit?
Mine is that during quarantine, I've been super obsessed with my vinyl collection. So I spent a crazy amount of money on it. And like last week alone, I spent like $500.
What?
In just a matter of like an hour. And that was just for like last week. It was 500, and I was like, I added it up afterwards, and I was like, wow, that was a little bit over the top. But
is it all music or is it just random stuff?
no, it was all vinyl records. It was Mariah Carey's like 30th anniversary is this year. So every week she's been doing this marketing thing where she unleashes the vault she opened up the vault for her whole career. And so she opened up the vault last week, and it was all her records except for one of them, all on vinyl, for some of them for the first time. So
please tell me you got the Christmas album, because it's
of course.
Yeah, I mean, you
wait. What's the classic song that she sings? Is it all? What's the one
Christmas is you?
All I want for Christmas is you.
All I want for Christmas is you. Sorry, I butchered it, Mariah. I'm
She's gonna sue you now.
Yeah. You still hot, baby girl? Man,
have you ever seen the Cribs episode with her?
Oh yeah, with the high heels.
Yeah, and the dog and the cat. The cat attacks the dog while she's holding it. It's hilarious. She freaks out. It's very good.
Yeah, and I saw somebody comment on my Nintendo Switch stuff. Yeah, I've been super obsessed with Breath of the Wild for some reason. I've had that game since last year, and I just started playing it. So I stayed up several nights last week till like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I think it's like Mario's 30th anniversary or something, right?
Mm-hmm. This is 35th, I think.
Oh, it's 35. Wow.
I know. Wait. I have to jump in. I was trying to hold back. Trying.
Jeremy, let's do a shot. Antoine, if you want to do one, you're more than welcome to while Brandon's talking.
Yeah, they always want to drink when I start talking.
I do.
Shot number 2.
So you just mentioned Breath of the Wild.
Uh-huh.
I just want to in solidarity with you. I just want to say that I lost some of my life during quarantine to that game.
Oh my gosh, it's like the best game to like for quarantine purposes. You'll never run out of stuff to do.
You never run out, except when I did. I like 100% of the game.
Oh wow.
But I really fell in love with during quarantine was just how peaceful the game was at times. Like you're fighting monsters and doing crazy shit. But then there was like moments where you just like, there was like nothing happening. And it was just beautiful to look at. And like when quarantine was just kicking off, I was like, I need this peace, this quiet. But now I'm playing Fallout 4 and it's just chaos and shooting things. And it feels like that's where the real world we're headed to. So, all right, that's my piece. I just wanted to.
Get out of here.
Whoa.
Get out of here, Brandon. This is our show.
So I was trying to think of my fresh shit. And so I was like, I had one thing I was going to give, but then Tony, because of your thing, it reminded me of an experience that happened this week. And so I think I'll go with that because I did find a new band that I was I've been super jazzed on.
You can have two fresh shits.
Okay. Well, then I got two. So Nathan, that was on the show with Smokers Abbey last week. Yes. He sent me, I think the next day after the show, a new band that's not a new band, but a new band to me out of Belgium called Brutus. And he was like, dude, you got to watch their set like live in Germany. And they're kind of in the vein of like music. I play kind of prog and like, heavy, but the lead singer is also the drummer and it's a female and she like murders it. Like, but they're like an aggressive, heavier kind of like band. And so like, I've been listening to that nonstop because that's the toughest band name ever. Brutus. I mean, come on, you can't get tougher than that. Maybe the only thing tougher than that is like the devil, but that doesn't sound as cool, so that's one thing. And then it's funny because I've been getting all these spam calls, leaving messages saying that I have to renew my lease or rediscuss and sign paperwork for a,
you have to tell a story when you get done with this.
Timeshare. Right. And I don't own a timeshare. So I keep getting this, Jeremy, you're going to need to call. And it's like this like heavy tone. We need to discuss this. And I'm like, this is super weird that I'm on a list of cold calling, but they're acting like I have a timeshare. So I finally decided to call them because I wanted to know what timeshare that I own that I don't actually own. So I called them, and like they had it. They're like, as soon as I dialed it, they picked up and they were like, "Is it hi, Jeremy?" And I was like, "How did they get this?" Like, you know. And so I'm like, "So what are you guys calling about?" And so they're going through this thing, and I'm like, "Yeah, well, which property are you talking about?" Because I was like, "Why not go that direction?" Because I like, dude, if I can go to Hawaii, I'm going, you know. And so they said, like, you have a, it was like a timeshare in Hawaii that like is coming up on the terms, and a new agreement needs to be signed. And so I was like, well, you know, where exactly is the property and this and that? And she's like, well, I just need to ask some further questions. And like, so midway through, I was like, you know, I don't have a timeshare, right? I'm like, and she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, I don't have the money to buy a timeshare. And she goes, and hung up, and they haven't called since. But I was just like, how did I get on that list? And what a weird angle, because they weren't trying to sell me on a property. So like, what other Jeremy McDonald? They obviously got me confused, because it wasn't a sales pitch, like, you know, a bait and switch where they're trying to sell you on something. They were actually trying to discuss, you know, financing or refinancing. And I was like, it was just super weird. But I was hoping to get a free vacation, and like, you know, but it didn't happen.
I think that you secretly own timeshares. That's my conclusion. I think that you've like been
maybe that's something I do when I'm drunk in your basement. Is I actually buy timeshares.
That's another funny story, Antoine. That
we've
told it before.
That one.
Yeah,
yes.
That was like the first episode when nobody watched it.
Yeah,
I think the story that you should tell Antoine that's funnier is the battle between you and Hernando that you didn't know you were having.
Yeah.
Because you have to. Antoine, you remember Hernando, right? Obviously, from our group.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeremy, go ahead.
So pranks are not out of the norm for us, obviously. As a company, we do it, and just individually. Well, basically what happened in a nutshell is Robert had signed up Hernando for RussianBrides.com and paid for a profile. And so then when Hernando when he got aware of this, Robert's like, Jeremy did it, dude. And and like, so Hernando was like, oh, I'm going to get that motherfucker. So then I had no idea about I didn't know this had happened. And so basically I wake up one morning and my phone is blowing up, like call. And I'm like, I don't understand. And it's voicemail after voicemail. And so I start listening to the voicemails, and it's I can't remember the exact words, but like basically it was a recording saying like, you be the one that, in a pirate voice saying some script. And it was over and over again with different people. And I was like, what the hell is going on? And I like my phone, the inbox was filling, and I like would make a call, and then call, we're coming in, and I'd pick up. And so I finally, like, I call the office, and I'm like, dude, you wouldn't believe what's happening. And they're like holding it in, laughing hysterically. So basically what we found out is Hernando had placed a paid for ad on Craigslist for a movie audition for a new movie with Johnny D about pirates. So what he said, the instructions are to call this number, say this script, and hang up. Do not
in your best pirate voice.
So like, brilliant prank, by the way, brilliant. And it was so funny because people were leaving like they would leave messages like, I really need this job, man. Can I please, like, you know, it's like all LA aspiring actors calling me thinking that they're going to be auditioning for a movie with Johnny Depp because
didn't you have a Christopher Walken impersonation?
Yeah. So then I had a guy do a pirate, and he's like, now for my Christopher Walken pirate. And the guy's like, hey, you be the one. And I was laughing. I saved a lot of the messages for years because they were so good, but they took up so much of my inbox. So anyways, it finally comes out that Hernando did that to me. And I was like, well played, my friend, except I didn't do that prank on you. And then he was like, what? And I said, you are now going to get burned by me. And
You still have yet to. You have yet to get him.
Right. And people think like, oh, you would just retaliate. And it's like, no, that's too easy. I need to wait. And so I've waited probably 4 years. And when I get him, it'll be so massive. It'll probably break up his engagement. And it'll probably like he'll be single living in the gutter by the time I'm done with him.
Oh,
wow.
Thanks, Mac. There's
okay. That's kind of true.
Yeah, it's probably true.
But the other one sounds way better. But yeah, that's probably the best prank I've ever had played on me. I was like, kudos, man. Like that is a really thought out. And he was like, that was the best $20 I ever spent.
So Antoine, let's start. We have some questions for you.
Okay.
First one, which we ask everybody is, what cigar or experience or drink or what got you into this industry? What when you smoked a cigar and you were like, man, this is something that I want to like chase down the rabbit hole. Was there a specific cigar or specific experience that you had that you kind of were like, there's something to this, or
well,
go ahead.
Well, for me, I got into the industry on a completely different angle. Like it was 2010, and I used to work at a gardening magazine, which was super boring. And I spent like 4.5 years there.
It doesn't sound boring at all to me.
Oh yeah, spent 4.5 years there. And some company came in and bought out the magazine, and they kind of phased out. There was a small staff anyway, so they phased out the staff one by one.
Did they buy it just to kill it because no one wants to read about grass?
No, actually, they bought it because this guy, he was from Louisiana, and he wanted to create this whole empire of state gardening magazines. So he was going around the country collecting different magazines from different states, and he wanted to create this giant company that was just had a national no joke.
Caldwell's here. He does garden, by the way. So if you have any old gardening magazines laying around, send them over to him.
So the guy bought the magazine. He phased me out. I was so happy because I didn't want to quit. I wanted to write it out to the very end. I did. I spent a couple months just doing freelance stuff, and then I got. I was just at the end of the point of having been laid off, and just I didn't care at that point where I worked. So I walked into this interview, and it was I didn't know at the time, but it was for a company that used to do Tobacconist Magazine, Pipes and Tobacco, Vapor Voice, Tobacco Reporter, all those magazines. And I just walked in there, and I had gone through so many interviews at that point that I just didn't care. And so they thought I was so cool because I had like this laid back attitude and stuff. And they were just like, they would throw questions at me like, what happens if, you're designing a store and you don't have a picture to use for it? I was like, I'll just find one somewhere. I'll just get it. It doesn't matter. I'll get through it. I've gone through everything now. And they're like, wow. And they thought I was like the coolest person ever. And so I just like went home. And by the time I got home, they gave me an offer. And I was just like, do I take the offer or do I go to this interview I have tomorrow at this university? And I was like, I'll just take the job. I mean, there's no guarantee I was going to get the university job anyway. So I started working. That's how I started getting into the industry. And it wasn't until like 5 or so years into it that I started to write. And then it wasn't until like a couple of years ago that I even started to actually smoke cigars. Because before then I was just like, I was like, I don't need to, or I don't want to. And then I finally started getting into it. And even now, it's like I'm not a hardcore cigar smoker, but I'm pretty open-minded to trying a little bit of anything that, I get. And luckily being on the media side, you kind of get handed a bunch of cigars.
Free shit. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you get your choice of stuff. And during quarantine, I've bought a lot more cigars that I just read about and think that sounds cool and want to try at some point. And that's how I've gotten into my evolution, I guess you would say, in the industry.
Can I ask you a completely unrelated question?
Okay.
If you were to have to smoke a cigar made by two people, and I'm going to give you the option of the two people, who would you prefer to smoke them by? And don't worry, they're not industry people, so you're not like put on the line.
Okay.
Would you rather smoke a cigar that was made by Lady Gaga, or would you rather smoke a cigar made by John Mayer?
I feel like Lady Gaga, because I feel like hers would be more interesting. John Mayer just seems a little lame.
He'd be like
he's
a
like
plain
a basic.
Jane.
Yeah, he's like a basic dude. I feel like it'd be
Yeah,
like.
I feel like it'd be very like tired and not that interesting, just like his music.
You know what, man?
Lady Gaga's.
I'm 100% with you.
I bet
Hers
it'd be
would
like pink, and it would be like pink. She would color the wrapper like pink or something.
Man, I'd be down for that. Lady Gaga, if you're watching this, we'd like you to enter our industry and make us a cigar. Just saying.
Did you see that Will Marxist made an angry face at us?
Why?
I don't know. We're trying to figure that out in the comment section. So this episode is basically about collecting things so far. So what do you think makes something? So you're collecting all these vinyl records,
Right.
And I don't know if you've started collecting cigars, rare cigars yet or not, but why do you think people collect some things and not other things? Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think drives them to like kind of? I don't want to use the word hoard, but I have certain like for me, it's really weird. It's pens, and I can show you because they're right here on my desk. Like, I have pens from like every hotel I've ever been to, so I always steal pens from like hotels, and I steal pens from restaurants. So I have like this serial pen stealing habit, and I collect them. But I don't know why the fuck I do it. It's like I see a pen and I'm like, this is the most badass pen ever, and it's from like.
My favorite thing is to
Like,
tell
this is-
Tony that I have a really special pen in my pants for him,
Yes,
and he falls for it every time.
every time I steal it, I take that pen home with me. But what do you think? I mean, what drives you? Like, what do you? Because I don't have an answer. I'm just wondering. You know what drives you to collect what you're collecting, and maybe maybe the people in the comments could answer this question also.
I think most people start collecting something. First of all, something that you obviously want to invest time or money into collecting. So it starts off kind of innocent like that, and then once you kind of get into it, though, it's a habit. So I know for me, for vinyl records, for example, I have almost every Britney Spears vinyl record from Urban Outfitters, like in my collection. And now they've started coming out.
And you're not just buying. So just to be clear, you're not just buying. Like, she only has what, like 5 or 6 albums, right? Maybe I don't know. Like, you could.
Yeah, like seven or 8.
So, but they're re-released in different colors. And
right, exactly. And then you were like,
Yeah.
I already have it, but I need that one, and that's
but I don't have the purple one, or I don't have.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I think that people are like that with cigars. Like, people hoard cigars too, you know, and it's like, but you should, in theory, you shouldn't hoard cigars. You should get them and you should smoke them because that's what they're made to do. But some people still like to get that cigar and hold it for a special occasion. For example, I don't know if you two probably know him, Daniel Marshall.
Yeah.
He makes that 24 karat gold cigar. And I remember it was my first IPCR trade show. And he said, "Oh, I'm going to send you a gold cigar." And I was just like, okay. And I didn't really think, I just thought it was something he was saying. Like, he really wasn't going to send me this 24 karat gold, whatever, wrapper cigar or whatever. And it, like a couple months later, like, he sent the humidor that he told me he was going to send me, and he sent me this gold cigar. And I've yet to smoke that gold cigar. And it's just that something about, you know, having it. And then it's like, do I want to like be done with it and to smoke it or what? And it's like that prize collection. It doesn't have any value beyond whatever, but just the fact that you have it, you can pull it out, you know, with your friends or tease people with it. Say, you know, this is a 24 karat gold cigar, and I automatically go light it up, and you go no, and you put it back. You put it back away, and it's just that tease.
Well, I think it's kind of like a lot of times things like that, like whether you're collecting whiskey or like for a period of time, I sought out, you know, bourbons and certain scotches, and I collected like old metal T-shirts, not because I'm into the metal bands, but because like I love the graphics and like there's something kind of nostalgic about it, but also it's like
you need to re-release. Sorry to interrupt you real quick, but you need to re-release, or we need to make those Caldwell metal shirts that like those, like all the ones.
Yeah.
You need to remind me to do those.
All right. Well, so the thing is that I like, there's something about it where it's like, I think partly because like I come from like that background musically, and it like makes me comfortable. Like it's like my happy place. It's like a kid with their stuffed animal, right? That they go to sleep with and they have to have it each night. There's a certain level of like comfort in the things we collect, right? And some like, I love that you collect vinyl, because like vinyl to me is like, I was watching some of your deep cuts, like, and you were talking about some of the stuff you purchased, and I find it super cool because like it's hearing it in an entirely different way. Anything, regardless of what you're listening to,
right?
Because like there's a reason why I love listening to like old classic rock, like Creedence Clearwater or Neil Young and some of these like artists on vinyl, because you can hear the click of the foot hitting the drum. You can hear the hands slide up the guitar neck. And there's something magical that gets lost as it's been compressed and compressed and compressed over the years. And you're hearing the music the way that people designed it actually to be heard. It's the best, like CD quality. There's nothing that actually compares to vinyl on the audio end of it. And so like, I love that you're into vinyl, because it's like I have records like hanging up old Bruce Springsteen albums and stuff in my garage, because it's just like, there's something to me that they're like special, you know, like I don't have a huge selection of vinyls, but I grew up listening to vinyl at home. And then like I have myself that, but for me, I think it's like it. At one point, I was sitting with the retailer that got me to start kind of in this industry, and he had been collecting all this really nice wine, you know, and he had collected every limited edition from Davidoff from the time they started their first LEs, and he was saving them for his son, for when his son became an adult, he could give them to him. Well, his son grew up and wasn't a cigar smoker and never got into cigars. And so he had all of these like really special things that he thought someone else would like, that he could gift to someone. And I was like, dude, those are yours. Like, smoke them, break them open, and like share them with like your friends and your family and your loved ones.
Break them up and put weed in them,
or sell them, you know, like whatever you want to do. But like the concept of collecting, to me, for the purpose of collecting, like we always have a reason behind the things we do, even if they're subconscious, right? So like we collect things that give us a sense of security or nostalgia or remind us of something.
Explain my pen thing then, because there's no reason behind it whatsoever. I'm just
because you have a penis complex. Well, and
that must mean it's very large, because I'm collecting very small pens instead of like buying big trucks, right?
I don't know.
It's the undercompensation that's happening.
Well, I want to jump in here at this moment, because I want to answer that question.
And Jeremy, we should do another shot. And
damn it, every time I come on, Tony's like, "Fucking, we gotta drink."
Shot number 3.
So I just want to say that I collect comic books, which is a very common thing that people collect. But I listen to podcasts.
Brandon, by the way, sorry to interrupt you, but when my grandpa used to sell comics, right? That's so I have like this incredible comic book collection that if you ever want to, it's at my grandparents' house.
How have we been friends for all these years? You were the best man at my wedding, and I didn't know you had.
I don't know about the best man. I was a man. I don't know.
You were the best.
I was a pretty good man at your wedding.
Well, you weren't the worst man. I can tell you that.
That is true.
That is true.
But we have to. I have like all these comments. So you and I have to on a sidebar conversation bullshit about these comments because I have no idea. Because it's like, dude, I have like first edition Spider-Mans and shit like that. I have like weird, it's worth money. I guess
I'm getting a hard on just hearing you say these things.
So anyway, go ahead.
So what I wanted to address your pen question. So like in the comic collecting community, there's this idea that addresses like your thing about the pen, which is it's called the bin of obscurity. All right. So for any comic, the
my brain is if I was a superhero, that'd be my name.
So maybe Antoine can like attest to this as far as it comes to collecting vinyl, is that for any comic to be valuable, truly like valuable as a collector's item, it has to have been at one point completely obscure and worthless. So why that is because anything that comes out, like you guys have seen this with fucking cigars and like, you know, whiskeys. I just had a friend tell me today that he fell for a whiskey marketing scheme and like bought this rare whiskey and whatever. If you save that, it's not going to be worth shit because they marketed it as a collector's item. Now in the 90s, the comics industry had like this huge boom and they were selling that was when like the death of Superman. Do you guys remember like the death of Superman? It was like
I knew you were a nerd.
Right. Okay.
So well, I knew for sure Brand and Antoine would be kindred on a couple things. So
all I'm trying to say is that like, so people in the 90s who never collected a comic, they like bought the death of Superman.
How did he die? I have no idea.
It was a guy named Doomsday. It's complicated.
His name was Obscurity, and he came out of nowhere.
Obscurity,
and he tripped Spider-Man, and Spider-Man. Then Superman cracked his head open and died.
Well, that may be, I don't know that would probably happen in the Amalgam comics, which is where Marvel and DC cross over.
All right.
That's not this show. That's not
all right.
I just want to get to this thing about your pens, which is that things that are valuable, like they're only like if somebody said like this pen is like it's made out of all this gold and stuff and it's exclusive and it wouldn't be interesting as a collector's item because it was already rare. But what makes something interesting to a collector usually, like especially in the comics world, is something that like people didn't think about. And it was like the reason the original Superman comics are worth so much, like Superman #1 or Action Comics #1 and stuff like that, is because when it was cost like 3 cents to buy it, people read it and they used to throw comics away. So like anything that survived from the quote unquote bin of obscurity is worth all this money because it at one point was worth nothing and nobody cared about it. But all the comics that came out in the 90s, they had all these exclusive issues with like holographic, like covers and all stuff, like you guys were talking about the different colored vinyls, but at the end of the day, none of those are worth shit because they made so many of them and everybody threw all this money at it. Everybody has it. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. It only, it kind of works retroactively. So for you, it's more the emotional attachment to these like places you've traveled and these obscure meaningless kind of items.
So
my bin of obscurity.
So I'd like to follow up with a question then for all of us, and Brandon, why not you in this mix? So okay. Anton, we can start with you if you're cool with this. Mm-hmm. What is your most prized collectible to you and why?
Yeah.
You mean vinyl?
Whichever, whatever. I mean, whether it's vinyl, I mean, maybe you collect other things like you're a sock guy or like, who knows? But I mean, what is it that like
sock guy?
A sock guy.
What does that even mean?
Some people collect socks. They like Argyles.
Which people?
I don't know. Somebody out there does. If you collect pens, someone collects socks.
Wait, I have to address this question from Joe here before you answer what your most prized collectible is, Antoine. Joe asked, "Did Brandon play Magic the Gathering?" Now I want to address this because I
played LARP.
The answer is yes. I guarantee.
I never played Magic the Gathering.
What? You never?
Never.
But what about D&D?
Never played D&D.
Did you LARP?
No, never LARPed. But I played
I was really cool. So
Well,
I don't know what any of this means.
I played Pokemon cards. I was the perfect age to play, and my kids play Pokemon cards because I got them into it. But I played a Star Wars version of like Magic the Gathering. There was a Star Wars card game. I still have my cards in the garage, and
I think my picture from earlier is.
I just wanted you to know I was ranked nationally in that game, Star Wars.
But that's because like how many were playing? 27.
Well, it had to be more than that because I was ranked 75. So yeah.
Richie Riot Pogs. I did Pogs. I was a Pogs guy. I collected Pogs. I had a very awesome.
Yeah, most prized collectible.
So, what would be your most prized collectible, whatever that might be?
My most prized collectible is probably Madonna's Sets book, still in the wrapper.
It's like the coffee table book, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
When did that come out? That was like early 90s? Am I way off? Or
no,
is that...
you're right. It was early 90s.
Do you have another one that's not wrapped? Like if you looked at the inside of
I've seen the pictures.
I have.
I've seen the pictures online.
Isn't Rodman's in that book? Is he not at that point in time?
I'm pretty sure he is. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember how big and how scandalous that was when that came out.
Yeah,
that
and
was
it's
like wild.
I mean, it's a hard book to find these days. It's not in print.
I thought you were talking about hard something else. Sorry.
So it's not in print anymore. It's hard to find in the stores.
Why is that your most prized collectible?
I think it's because I always wanted it. Like once I became a Madonna fan, which was very late. Like I didn't become a Madonna fan until like 2000 or so with her music album. And so then like any other person, like once you get into something, I was like backtracking. And then that's when I learned about all of her early 90s stuff. And then I was young, so it wasn't like I had the money to just throw at stuff like that. So it wasn't until probably last year that I think I finally got it. And I was just like, yeah. And I like open, it's just like I said, it's still in the wrapper. So I just like hold it up and look at it and like, yep, and put it back in the box.
There it is.
There you go.
Do you ever like get drunk and like look at it and be like, I want to open this so bad?
I have days when I'm like, should I just like open this? Because like, who's gonna care? It's like what you're talking about, like the guy with the Davidoff collection. I was like, nobody's after I kick the bucket, somebody's just gonna open it anyway and go, wow, what's this?
Put it in the bin of obscurity.
Right. Well, they'll take it to like a used bookstore, and a bookstore owner will be like, oh my gosh, this is like awesome, and it won't even benefit me. So I think about that all the time, but right now I haven't opened it. It's between that and I have like one of her vinyl records that came out for her Celebration album, which was her last greatest hits kind of album. And it's probably what you were saying, Brandon, about comic books. It was probably worth like originally for about $20 when it was first released. Yeah. And now online it goes for about $300-400. And I know I spent $400 to get it. So yeah.
That's a cool. What about you, Tony? What's your...
I've been trying to think about it, man.
Was it a pen from the Days Inn?
Yeah, a lot of these glamorous hotels we stay at on the road. The Best Western in Norfolk.
Maybe it would be the Fairfield Inn in Miami because it has sentimental value now.
Yeah, we're never allowed to go back there.
Yeah.
I think. What's my most prime? What would I?
Do you want us to come back to you?
Yeah, let's come back to me.
We're at dinner and you don't know what you want to order yet. So
yeah,
we'll come back around.
Brandon, do you want to go or?
Brandon knows already.
So
we should do a shot.
Yeah. Oh, shot. Oh, wait.
Shot number 4.
That's my dad.
I hope that Robbie was still in the chat so he could see himself.
Probably.
So I think it's appropriate because in the pre-show we were showing off our Jeremy, our like limited custom cigar boxes from those Winwoods. So that kind of was in theme with the show tonight. But like I don't have a lot of fuck yeah. I don't have a lot of like collectibles, despite the fact that I collect comic books, because I don't go for rare comics because I can't afford it. Like rare comics cost in the thousands. Okay. So inevitably, actually the comics that I collect are ones that when my daughter, to get her into reading, I like took her to the comic shop and we found a girl superhero named Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, and I got her into reading through these comic books.
I think
and
they're
it
supposed
kind
to
of
make a movie out of Miss, or a TV show for Miss
yeah,
Marvel,
on
right?
Disney Plus they're going to be doing Miss Marvel, and she's the star of the new Avengers video game that just came out. She's like the main character. She's really big, but she's a new hero that just came out within the last 10 years. And I took my daughter to the comic shop and I started collecting the series from Miss Marvel for her as we read them, as we bought them. So my most prized comic, or my most prized collectible I have, is that me and my daughter went to the local Comic Con that a local comic shop owner, Greg from All American Cards and Comics, shout out to him, he puts on here in the Youngstown Warren area. And when we went to that local Comic Con, like they had this comic, which is like the first appearance of this character that my daughter loves.
Did you see Joe Sharmer's comment?
No, what did he say? Oh yeah, Joe's like the best. I love Joe, man. So we went to this comic convention and we were walking around and they had this first appearance, and that's like a big deal in comics. Like what's the first issue, the number one, but also sometimes characters appear in other people's comics and that's like their first appearance. So I threw down like $65, which for me, I don't make a lot of money. I work in a factory and I'm a single dad. At the time I was single dad. And I like dropped for this issue because she was so excited. Like she got so excited about it. And she's almost a teenager now. That was like when she was like 7 or 8. Now she's almost a teenager and she's a little less interested. But I have all those things stored away. And I think about them from time to time. I have all these issues saved and put away because it's prized to me because of the memory that like we made together doing that. And someday she's going to open up that box and look back and be like, oh my God. Like, and it will be magical. It'll be a thing that we bonded over. And so that's my most prized collectible.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Yeah, mine, I have 2 items that are like both dear to me in different ways. One is I have a 1975 Born to Run t-shirt, Bruce Springsteen. And it's completely faded and I by no way fit in that shirt anymore. So I can't exactly wear it, even though I wish I could, but that would just be lewd. But I love it because
when are you not lewd?
There's different types of lewd. And there's something about that I just love it because like it's before my time, but it's one of my favorite albums and it was gifted to me by a good friend. Like wasn't a birthday or anything. This guy that was a friend was like, dude, I got you the coolest shirt. I found it at like a thrift store. And I was like happier than a clam that I got like that shirt. And it just, so I wore it and wore it and wore it. And now I just have it like saved. And now my oldest daughter likes to wear it. And I'm like, do it. Like, cause I love seeing the shirt. I don't know. It just has like all this, like, cause that album was kind of in my musical journey, like a revolutionary album to me, even though it was actually before my time. So that's one. And then 2 is I have a single cigar, and oddly enough, it is a Gurkha cognac, like in the glass tube that someone gifted me. And then I thought it would be funny when my oldest was 2 that at Christmas I wrapped it up and gave it to her because I thought it was funny. So that she'd open a gift, and her face of disappointment was so great that every single year I rewrap it in different ways, and I still give her that cigar, and she gives it back to me, and I'll never smoke it, but it's like the funniest. I get so much pleasure. Like I'll put like weights and clothes so she thinks she's getting something she wants, and then she opens it, and it'll be like suspended by rubber bands sitting in the middle of the box. and she
Sadistic.
and so like she knows she's going to get it each year, but she never knows which present it is. And I just get so much enjoyment out of that like it's one of my most like I'll never get rid of that cigar. And maybe I'll smoke it like on the day like, you know, she gets married, even though no, who are we kidding? I'm not smoking that cigar. Like there was a reason why I hadn't smoked it, but it's like, but it's just so
you
funny
should like heirloom it, like, and just have Penny like give it to her kids and do the same prank and see how long, like, see if the cigar turns to dust before you do, and just keep passing it down until,
like, you know. What would be rad is if I opened up like at the bank, you know, like a box, and the
like
only thing I left a safety deposit box, and the only thing I put in there is a cigar that says "Gotcha."
Yes.
And then so when I die, she goes, and then there's just a cigar that says like, "For the last time I gotcha." I'm so doing that.
Or you can like, you can give it to some service that's going to mail it to her like 10 years after you die. Yeah. Like the Western Union thing in Back to the Future.
But
like a note 20 years in the future that delivers a cigar to her.
But that cigar, every time I look at it, just makes me smile because now I have 16 years of her responses associated with that cigar. You know what I mean? Like, and every time I see that cigar, it just makes me smile. Like when I'm in a shop, because I think of her disappointment when she sees it.
You're collecting the memory of her disappointment.
I wish I had been smart enough and ahead of the curve to video it every year so I could make a collection like her wedding gift. Like, you know, someday dads give like these grandiose gifts and I would give her the damn cigar again. You know, like it's never gonna not be amazing to me. And yeah, that's definitely something. But
well, on that note, my life sucks because I have nothing like the last 3 of your stories.
You have no collectible, Tony. You have no pen that you really love.
No, I really don't. I'm trying to look.
Tony, I got something for you.
Oh,
it's blue.
Look at that! Look at that pen. No, I mean, I guess I would say I have like the sketch that Elio did. I think my favorite, because my thing's art, and it has been for a long time. So I think my favorite thing is I have the sketch.
Have tons of art. You got tons of art hanging up in your house,
right? But that was when I got like older and like became like someone that was able to buy some art. But I have like a sketch that Elio did of the Indian in the back of my store, and he did it on like a tracing paper. So I think that would be like one of my big collector's things that I would say, because I collect art and I want to continue to do it.
What about your drawing, your Dave Matthews drawing?
Oh, the Dave Matthews painting from my buddy?
Because like,
basement?
Yeah, I mean, that's like super cool.
Yeah,
like,
that's a good one. I have a couple of things. Like my buddy did he did like a black and white painting, and he was my best friend growing up. And it was like the canvas was black, so he removed like the shading. So he painted it all white and then removed the shading. And I have that down in my basement. That's another really cool one that I'll always keep forever. But most of my stuff is like very, I mean, I guess that's the gist of the conversation, right? It's not, you know, we're not talking about like a Rolex presidential, right? We're all kind of talking about stuff that's kind of nostalgic or sentimental to us, right?
Yeah. Because if you think about it, right, like, say you collect watches, say you collect socks for that guy.
Why is the socks that keeps coming up?
Do
you secretly collect socks? Because you keep bringing it up.
I think he secretly does things in socks that we can't talk about.
We could talk about it.
We could.
But the thing to me is like everything, you know, it all correlates to like whether you're like cigars to whiskey to all these things, as that they're things that bring us enjoyment, right? And that's like the bottom line. It's this, you know, it's the sex book from, you know, Madonna. It's this comic book. It's a painting. It's a cigar that makes me laugh, and all. But they bring joy to us, which is like what I think is so cool about this whole thing.
I think that's ultimately. I think ultimately you're right. That's like the kind of the like bringing the whole show together.
Right, like we're like, we want, like, everything in life is memories and experiences, right? And so if we find certain things that make us tick, then like that's super cool. Like whatever it is, as random as it is, like it really doesn't matter. It's just what brings us joy. And like, you know, that's kind of to bring it full circle, like just what you said. Like it's why we're doing this show. It's why we're in the industry. Like, Antoine, you didn't start in this industry because you were a cigar lover, or, you know, like you took it because it was a job, right? And like you have found ways to appreciate it, but you're still not necessarily like the cigar guy, but it doesn't matter, right? Like you're part of the heartbeat of this industry in what you do
because of your personality, because of who you are. And I think that's the gist of the show, right? It doesn't matter what's wrapped up in leaves.
Right.
You know?
And I think like when I was watching your deep cuts, I was like, oh, this is so cool. We're kind of doing the same thing. Ours is just a little more obnoxious and a little more off the rails. But like, you know, you're asking people questions that are not like the typical wrapper binder filler questions. You're trying to find out who people are, because why? I think the same reason we want you on here is because like we're friends and we appreciate and respect each other. And it's cool to just like see behind the curtains. Like, who is this guy? Who is the, you know, the editor, and who does these, you know, blogs, and who does this, and who's this manufacturer? And like, it's late night conversations on a porch that happen at 2 a.m. when you're drunk with your friends. And like, that's the part of this whole thing that I love, you know, is that like, it may look like we're having a conversation about nothing, but like the reality is we're understanding who each other is, and we're trying to get to know each other and present ourselves, because like people buy cigars, and why do they buy this cigar versus this cigar? Or why do they identify with this genre of music over this genre of music, or whatever it might be? But if you like, the full picture is really about what we always say. It comes back to community and like just understanding each other and appreciating what others have to contribute. And that's what makes it like such a cool industry, is like, because I think you could probably testify to this, Antoine, that like we have a bizarre industry. It's like a very bizarre industry compared to other industries, because like we smoke cigars, and like, you know, we're not saving the world here. We're not like, you know,
all right, well,
but at the same time, we get to have real conversations with people based around a cigar, you know, and we get to hear different walks of life, and we get to hear, you know, different experiences, and help us appreciate those things, and sometimes be challenged by those things, you know, whether they be like social issues or whether they be political issues. Like, that's kind of, you know, what I love about cigars is like, you know, we can make a blanket statement and say most of the cigar smokers are probably white, over 65, and a Republican. But we know that that's not the truth anymore. So like, it's cool to have conversations about all those different things.
I think we should, I think we should, you know, have a show about, you know, we should kind of bring a lot of people into that conversation. You know, like you and I, Jeremy, you and I were talking about like us being, you know, in our early 30s, maybe. But, you know, like when we started this, you know, we were like the new kids on the block, right? Nobody paid us any respect. And we're like, we're not Cuban. And that's always kind of been our ethos, right? We've always been, as brand owners or whatever, we've always been kind of, you know, on the cutting edge of the cigar industry, but we've also been like shunned, so to speak. You know, a lot of people haven't taken us very seriously. So I think it'd be interesting to explore in later episodes, because we're at a minute, and we gotta get Zach on and stuff. But I think that we should, Antoine, if you're down, I think we should bring kind of a roundtable discussion for one of our shows about, you know, what it's like to not be the archetypical cigar person, and how the industry, because you and I talked about it, like how the industry is changing, and it doesn't matter what or who you are. Cigars bring everybody together, and we've always talked about that. I mean, you could be in a room with, a doctor or a lawyer or a homeless guy or whatever. It doesn't matter, but everybody's smoking a cigar that brings everybody together. So I think we should. Whoa! I just accidentally hit my chair thing. Okay, so but I agree. But I think we should have a roundtable on. I think we should have a roundtable on like sort of the new industry, the new cigar industry, and
well, it's not. It's not so much that it's new; it's that it's just the part of the industry that doesn't get any attention, or it's not
right.
You
are
focus.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's
like
not new. Yeah.
Right. So it's like this. There's a big chunk of the industry, and we've talked about this, and I've talked about this with people throughout COVID since we have time. It's just that there's a whole part of the industry that typically, for whatever reason, doesn't get that focus, and it's all, when I came into the industry, the cigar industry was portrayed as, $1,000 suits and yachts and this lifestyle that nobody could really afford.
Boats and hoes.
Right. Boats
and hoes. Boats and hoes.
People riding horses and all this weird stuff. And then you get into the industry though, and you get to know the people in it, and that's not it at all. And I think even now there's like a split in the industry where it's still that old school idea of mentality. And I was even thinking about this morning with the media. The media still tries to portray it, as the women's role in the industry, for example, is just, women are there as arm candy. And yet we have a bunch of female smokers in the industry. The article that's coming up on the screen now, I mean, you have a whole bunch of companies that never get attention just because they aren't they aren't paying the big bucks to get that media attention from some of those big media magazines.
Well, Antoine, something that you've always done that I've respected, and since we first met at TPE, is like you've never like looked at La Barba or Caldwell or any of our brands as something other than the personalities behind them. It's
right.
never been like a requirement to be some sort of person, to have a little publicity with the thing. And that's what I appreciate about the work that you do in the industry, is that it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. The only thing that matters is the personality. And that's what cigars are to me, is the 3 of us, 5 of us, I think 7 of us now. That's an extra one. But I think, what matters is us kind of sticking together and hanging out together and then making the best of it. So
exactly.
Antoine, I think that it would be rad, like he's saying, to do a round table. And like, obviously, like, last week we got a little heavy in parts of our show because there was like talk of like religion and stuff like that. And what that means. But we were talking with some retailers, and the retailer is a pastor, right? Mm-hmm. So like we had these like, and I think that there's something like, we stay away from conversations that seem uncomfortable because it's like you don't want to offend, or you don't know how to necessarily respond. I mean, of late, like there's a lot of conversations that are, and I heard you touch on this. I read the article, what's being posted right here, as well as a few other things.
Jeremy, real quick, let's bring our guest and Zach on to join the conversation, if that's okay.
Yeah. Should I finish my thought or just wait for them?
Keep going. Just keep talking. Yeah. We'll bring them on.
But
they can contribute.
The thing about it is like, especially with an industry like ours that has been historically predominantly white and predominantly male, I think that like there are some real discussions to be had, especially because like the social climate we're in, on why that is, and the fact that, I've said this before on this show, but the 2 largest demographics that are growing in our industry are females and Black people. Like there is, and that like, why has no manufacturer, why has there been, no one has adapted to reach those audiences in like what speaks to them, not like, oh, hey, I market for myself and you accept it the way it is. But why isn't there, really a platform? And you do have things like the Miami Black Smoke. Obviously, Maisha has been heavily involved with, she does like meetups and things with the SOTL. But I think that there's a larger picture, and it's conversations that are uncomfortable, especially for me. They're uncomfortable because I'm the white male. I'm the dude that like has been a part of the.
You're so white, you're pink. Like
yeah,
you like
got no pigment. I got no pigment. And I would love to have like a full round table with a group of guys where we do an episode where we
and girls.
like. Yes,
I was about to say, yeah.
I know you.
My apologies, I did, but where we like actually get into the dirt with it, and I think that like. It may not be about anything other than like, let's strip away all the bullshit and have a real conversation and see how this has affected certain people. Like Christine, what are the experiences you've had that are not like, that have you been treated differently because you're a female in our industry? Antoine,
Jeremy, we need to introduce because remember we have like an audio audience also.
Oh yeah, I apologize. I'm not thinking about that element.
We brought on Zach, who you guys all know from listening, and our good friend Christine Morgan, who was a pioneer for the PCA, in my opinion.
Oh Jesus! Now furloughed. I don't know.
Well, it'll all come back.
I don't know.
It'll all come back. Turn your phone sideways so everybody can see you a little bit better.
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
There you go.
Like yeah.
You're good.
All right, now you're good.
I don't know
so,
the phone camera is.
But it'd be rad.
Introductions are there.
Yeah, introductions. Christina Morgan.
Can I just interject too? Like, I think
no,
that it ties in with what you guys were talking about earlier in terms of like cigars bring everybody together. Because I've been in a lot of shops where, I think a lot of us err on the side of the cautious route in terms of like discussion, especially like I'm just as white as Jeremy, so. Speaking of other races, colors, whatever, speaking of religion and politics and all those really hot topics, I've had a lot of really great conversations with people in cigar shops just because it kind of almost breaks down those walls of like where it becomes that like almost confrontational discussion or spicy as Brandon
right.
So I think that like that would be a cool tie-in as well.
Well, and let's not. Let's
Jeremy,
not
continue
give,
with your thought.
And let's not give the cigar industry. Let's not give the industry too much credit. There's tons of bigotry and bullshit in this.
You're absolutely right.
Tons. Like yes, it gives us a platform to have a discussion, but that doesn't mean the guy on the other end with his cigar wants to have that discussion. I just think that like obviously cigars give us the ability to sit and like take a moment with each other. So
it's almost like
a
straight jacket, right? You can't like if you light a cigar, you can't escape. You can't run away from the conversation you're going to have.
And like, why not do an episode with a panel, and like have a really just open dialogue, no agenda to the episode. Although we don't typically have an agenda to the episode because it's unless we're doing shots, that's the only agenda.
Oh, speaking of,
right.
We should all do one. Yeah.
But I will say,
half a bottle of scotch already.
Antoine, and Christine, would you be down to do that on a later episode where like we could really have, I think some real conversations about, what's going on. I mean, the world around us is on fire right now. It'd be good to address it.
Literally for you, the world is on fire.
In California, it has been. And, like the thing is like, no, it's, you want to tiptoe around it because it's like you're afraid of saying something that could be construed as offensive.
But I think that's a problem, maybe, right?
Right. But that's why I'm saying, like, let's just say it. And if I stumble over and say something stupid, then one of you correct me and say, hey, that's not a cool thing to say. Like, I think that is only way we learn is from our mistakes anyways, right? On that, from the bottle.
Shot number 5.
Sweet. I'm just taking a sip. I pre-gamed.
Good.
Because I forgot what day it is because I'm furloughed. I don't know.
Well, it's Tuesday night. I mean, you have to drink on Tuesday nights. I mean, that's what we do.
I mean, I
guess.
drink every night now.
So, Christine, do you have any
Yes.
questions for Antoine? I don't know if you guys have ever met before, or if you guys.
I think I've heard your name and like seen
Once
your
or twice.
name around. I feel like I get emails in my PCA inbox that you might be attached to somehow. I feel like I see your name in those. But
Well,
otherwise-
between Christine, Antoine, Ben, and Dawn, that's like the you guys are like quadruple trouble. It's crazy.
God.
We could let's talk about that, Jeremy. So everybody goes home during TPE. Okay.
Oh God.
And
This story.
and everybody invites me down to this. What was it called? Like the Stray Cat or something?
I don't. What was it, Antoine? I cannot remember.
I have no idea what the name of it was. I just
The
know it was.
karaoke club.
It was like a karaoke club, and TPE was over.
Yeah.
And we all got nuts because you guys, Jeremy, you guys and Zach, you guys had left, and I had a whole extra day because it was like in the morning of the day after the last day of the show, I think. So I ended up at this karaoke bar with
Cat's
Antoine,
Meow.
Christine,
That's what it was
Cat's
called.
Meow,
Cat's
yeah.
Meow.
Antoine, Christine, Don Conger, Ben, and his wife. And I'm telling you what, we had
Ellie.
Yep. I barely remember. We were doing shots of Jaeger. I was dancing with Antoine. We were singing karaoke.
shots of Jaeger
It was
were
literally one of the like funnest, craziest nights I've ever had in Vegas. Number one, but in my life, number two. We had a lot of fun that night.
I missed my flight for the first time ever in my entire life.
I did not.
I just slept through my flight.
Been there, done that.
But we had a blast that night, didn't we? I mean,
We did. It was
shit, man.
It was one wild night. I remember that Bon Jovi song, and we pretty much lived out that night.
Oh yes, we did.
I think I have video of Ben doing blurred lines. I'm 90.
So Christine, do you have any? It's shoot your shot. You have to ask us questions. That's the
No, I
idea
didn't
of
know
the
I was supposed to have like a question prepared. Like I literally had just worked out, and like Zach was like, "Come on the show." I'm like, "Shit, let me put my contacts in and like brush my hair and like put on normal clothes."
Well, ask some questions.
I don't know. How are you?
How about-
Antoine?
What's your most? Okay, so we have for Zach and Christine. Christine, go first. Collectibles. What do you got?
Oh.
What's your most
collectibles?
prized possession? Yeah. Have you not been
God,
watching the show?
probably,
This is what we've been talking about
I
all night.
did, but I didn't even.
You
think,
forget
like,
already.
I needed to prepare an answer for this. Like I wasn't ready for that. My
Well,
Fight
that's
Club
the point
action
of-
figures. My Fight Club action figures.
Just expand.
So, well, and I have an autographed copy of Fight Club, but I have Marla Singer, Tyler Durden, and Jack / narrator / Balthazar action figures, and I love them. Like I will never, ever get rid of them.
Do you have
Fight
them
Club is my
close?
favorite. Like you want to see them?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah.
So there was one day it was actually really funny. Like somehow Tyler fell out of his action figure like box.
Well, and your cats' names. Let's tell everybody what your cats'
Yeah,
names
there's Marla Singer and Tyler Durden. So there's Marla. Yeah.
And your
But-
new tattoo also.
I have a tattoo. Yeah.
This is live. There's
the
7
Fight
people
Club.
watching.
No, I know. You're welcome. Which I'm not showing them my tattoo. But yeah, I have a that's honestly, can I say my tattoo is my most prized possession?
You can.
Sure.
Is that weird? Yeah, no.
Well,
that's
I mean,
probably
it's the same. Collectively speaking, it's the same thing. People collect tattoos. You know.
Which I do. That's like the biggest tattoo that I currently have, and I got it on the anniversary of the release of Fight Club, the novel. So I sat for 9 hours. So it was between that and then the next day was actually Ed Norton's birthday. So it was between like 5 p.m. and 2 a.m. I got that tattoo.
So we
It
were
was a
talking
lot.
earlier. We were talking before we get to Zach. We were talking about like why you collect things. And I think the summation of all of it is it doesn't matter what it's worth. It's for like the nostalgic purposes, right? So do you agree with that? Is that why are you collecting things because it's going to be worth money someday, or are you collecting things because you want it to be worth something
No,
to
just
you?
because it's special, just because like the collective memories of whatever. Like, so one of the things that I personally collect is hotel key cards, and
I bet you have a lot of those, Christine.
I do. Well, especially traveling with like IPCPR. I have so many from like
I'm joking. That was a
Vegas,
joke.
like Venetian. I know. What are you trying to say about me, Tony?
Nothing. What was that
That's
song
the
in the
question.
90s?
I don't know. Too young.
Can you give a little more specifics? What was that
Jagged
song?
A lot of songs. Like, was it Backstreet Boys?
Holiday
Was it
Inn.
Collective
I got
Soul?
keys. I got keys to Holiday. I got my keys to the Holiday Inn. What was that song? Can I have my room key? 112, I think. I don't know. Go ahead. You say
I don't know,
something.
but wasn't there some like R. Kelly song too about
That's a
hotel? No, but actually I collect hotel key cards and I'll put like the date and what I was there for and whatnot. So that's probably honestly one of my favorite things that I have, because there's so many unique hotel key cards, and my goal is to turn them into like a tabletop or some like wall collage one day.
It's like my pen thing. I think it's
You have
very
a pen
similar to.
thing?
You didn't watch this episode at all, did you? Okay.
I told you
So-
I came in late.
She was working out. Remember, Tony?
Oh
I
yeah.
was working out and then I was
No,
drinking.
I
Like,
still
who-
pens. I still pens from
I was drinking
everywhere. That
before.
was. I still pens from everywhere. So I have pens from.
Do you have any
all over.
PCA pens?
No.
Okay.
No.
What about IPCPR?
No. I'm a member,
Who wants
and
those?
it'd be nice if they throw
Are
me a pen
you?
every once in a while. Yeah. Be nice
You're a
if they throw
member?
me.
Do you pay your dues?
Yeah,
Look,
maybe
I have
TP.
one.
Oh, share-
I take them from all
Oh.
the hotels.
See, so you take like hotel pens, I take hotel key cards.
Yeah, it's the same thing. See, those are.
Yeah, I like it.
But I need a TPE pen, Antoine.
I
don't
And
think they
need-
make TPE pens.
I have a TPE pen.
And I need a PCA pen. Anyway,
I can give you a PCA and an IPCPR pen. You want an ashtray?
The IPCPR should go up in value, right? Because that one is like
No.
that's a
like-
that's a collector's
that's a
item.
collector's item
Like,
now.
We'll have an RTDA pen.
Oh man, now you're getting like
Oh.
wild. That's worth
Zach,
like
real quick,
thousands.
we're gonna let's wrap the show because we're 17 minutes over. Zach, what is your collectible item?
So mine is a little weird, and I apologize, but a friend of mine
I love weird.
started painting with blood. And so I have his first ever painting that he did in blood.
Wow.
You and
he
Christine
gave it
are
to
gonna
me.
fall in love right now. You guys are gonna fall in love and get married.
Cool.
Yeah, that's it.
Zach, I have a
You
piece
guys
of
are
art
done.
for you.
Oh, is it
If
underneath where the camera is showing right now?
no, I got it in the early 2000s, and a guy traded me cigars. He was an artist who was getting known in LA, and he had an abscess, and so he started painting with his own blood. And I have this picture of a
I would
sacred.
frame that and put that on my wall.
That's
I'm not
it.
gonna lie to you.
That's the
That's
one
it
right
right
there.
there.
That's the painting
Yeah.
right there.
No, I have this painting of a Sacred Heart, and it says only red blood. I forget. It says it's like some emo quote, but it's like funny as
Perfect.
hell. But it's like it's
Yeah,
the fact that
what's
it's
up,
painted in blood, and the blood over the years has turned to this weird brownish color. But I'll give it to you because I don't have it hanging. But it's super dope.
Wow.
Oh,
But it's signed by him, and it's an
I'll definitely
original.
hang that. And then,
Yeah.
before we cut out too, I just want to defend myself in the liking of the La Barba Facebook page. And Tony, I just want you to know that I had yet to
Cut
like
him off.
the
Cut him
Caldwell
off.
Facebook page.
You're not cut off. You're still there. You can keep talking.
Probably
Yeah,
cut
keep
off.
them there.
It's
Keep
fine.
them there. I
Okay,
like
you
it.
you got paused.
I don't know. I was really hoping that everything was going to come full circle. And when you asked Zach what he collects, it would have been socks. That would have been
That would have been great.
that would have been the full
Oh,
circle
God, I
joke
fucking wish I
right
did.
there.
Hey, if
So let's-
I would like to
let me
put out
thank-
a shout out real quick. If
Yeah.
anyone of you out there that hears this in podcast form or not, email us and tell us if you collect socks.
Yeah.
And
Or
if you
hotel
legitimately show proof that you collect socks, give me a picture. We'll post it on our Instagram, and I will send you a pack of cigars.
Yes.
Well, why don't we just let's just make some socks.
I
Some of
would
the
love your
Barber
guys'
Caldwell socks.
logo. No, I would love your guys' logo, the 4 Shots logo on the socks. Like, that would look fantastic.
I have a hat with it.
You do?
Yeah.
What?
I have a hat.
What? Do y'all
Yeah.
have shot glasses with it?
Holding out.
Dude,
No,
I love how Caldwell emails me at 9:30 to make me work on things. That just happened.
Okay.
He's like,
I
dude,
feel
let's
like
do
y'all
that.
need some shot glasses with your 4
Well,
shots.
we need
I'm
to
just
do
saying.
shot number 6 because before we close out, I made the bumper for shot number 6. So let's do it.
Christine,
Here we go.
if you have headphones, put them on because you're echoing.
I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Well, you
like,
have
one
been, but
headphone. Oh, I'm sorry. Why
that's
didn't
okay.
nobody tell me?
You ruined the whole
No,
show.
we'll have to. Here we go. Shot number 6.
Shot number 6.
That wasn't me drunk.
I want to know who the shirtless guy is that you were dancing with in that shot.
That's Miguel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our New York rep.
Who actually tried to call me during the show tonight. And it's
I almost used the shot of you slapping him on the ass.
Here, hold on. Let me see something.
But I didn't end up using that.
Well, I kind of
Miguel
feel,
tried to call you during the show.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, Antoine, that in some ways we somewhat talked over you tonight, and I feel kind of bad for it. Because, like, I feel like we threw our 2 cents in too much. So I apologize for that because I do want people to know who you are and that you contribute a hell of a lot to our industry, as does Christine. And, like, I appreciate you for what you do to help keep jobs like Tony and I's and Zach's secure. And but as well, I appreciate your friendship. You know.
Oh, thank
Well,
you.
you should also shout out your Instagram stuff, because I know you've been posting the deep cuts, like reposting the ones from quarantine, and those are super awesome if anybody hasn't checked them out.
Yeah, so
they're the best.
So my Instagram is editor.reid, REID. And like Zach and Tony and everybody's been mentioning, I repost I'm going through the process of posting some of the older episodes, and any of the newer stuff that I'm doing gets posted almost immediately. So that's for people to watch. And I think I've done 40 conversations, as I call them. So it's been a lot. And I have more that I'm going to get to. So it's a fun little side project when I'm not.
Hey, when you get
it's really cool listening to them now, because like the one you did with Tony, you guys are talking about quarantine and it being like over, like
I know.
Antoine and I were talking
about
that when I invited him to the show.
Yeah,
it'll be over in June. Yeah,
it'll be over soon, and we still are under quarantine.
Hey, Antoine, when you get to episode 100, can I be on?
Oh, definitely. Look, but I need people, so I need like people who are going to bring viewers. So I know that you and I could have a really fun conversation.
Oh, okay.
Then you can
Brandon
do
also. Like on 100, you could have multiple people, but I know you do it like IG live, right? Like that's how you like record it, right?
Right.
But if it has to happen sooner than episode 100, I'm happy to do that anytime with you. But I just think 100 would be cool because it would be like an explosion in people's faces. So like,
I'll watch creme brulee on anything.
Creme brulee. So,
well, can I ask? I want to ask one.
Hold
more
on, Brandon.
question.
One second.
Oh, okay.
I have to thank these people.
Okay.
They have.
I wanted
names,
to ask Antoine one more question. Can I ask the question then you thank everybody?
I don't know.
All right. Let me ask
about it.
Well, because Antoine, in preparation for the show, I was reading a lot of the articles on the site, just trying to get a feel for you as a writer. I'm a writer, and I try to prep and get to know who our guests are going to be. And You're found out
an editor, right? You also edit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an editor for a poetry magazine. It's nerdy. Let's not talk about it. But I found out that like Tony and I had worked together on the article that you did for him like 2 years ago. What was that, Tony? Like 2 years ago, or
It's like 2018, I think.
yeah. So my question for you is, like, you told us about how you got into this industry, and this is like a weird question to ask when we're 6 shots deep and all this other shit. But I wanted to ask, like, how do you feel as like a not cigar smoker, like a daily guy? How do you feel about when you write up all this stuff for people who consume cigars? How does that feel? Like, it'd be like if somebody was writing about movies, but didn't really care for movies, like, or it wasn't like a movie buff. Like, do you have any kind of imposter syndrome, or do you ever feel like, I feel weird, like writing for this industry that me myself, like, or is there no dissonance at all, and you feel kind of perfectly at home writing about it, like gardening or anything? I'm just curious as a writer myself.
Well, for me, I always write the stories from a perspective of who is the person making the cigar or who is the person running the business. So like when I wrote about Tony, it wasn't just about La Barba and like what tobacco filler and binder stuff goes into each cigar. It's who is Tony? What was his background? How did he get into cigars? When I did the story about Michael Herklotz, it was the same thing. It was, who is Michael Herklotz? We see him on Instagram, but who is he?
We certainly see Michael Herklotz on Instagram.
Right. But he told me, right. But he told me, like Instagram is so curated. He's like, it's not who I am. And I was like, well, that's the fun of the story. We need to tell people who you are, because all we see is Instagram. We see the suits and we see
scarves. We see lots of scarves.
The New York and this and that. And I was like, that's what people think you are. So let's dismantle that. The story on Matt Booth that we just put out, it was the same way. It was taking away like just what you think and diving into who they are. So I think from that, I do it from a very authentic place, because if I did it from the wrapper, binder, filler, it wouldn't be authentic to me, because I don't care about that kind of stuff as much. I think
ultimately, that's the essence of this show. That's
why he's great. That's why he's great to be on this show.
Right. So I think, doing it from that perspective helps, because it makes it a little bit more authentic to me. And so people, hopefully, when they read the story, they don't feel like I'm posing, because I would be posing if I tried to tell you the notes of a cigar or the binder and this tobacco does this, because that's not who I am.
That's good.
Hey, can I share something that I think is amazing?
Man, because I wanted to share something for like 15 minutes.
Then you know what, Tony? You, my friend, go.
No, I won't.
You do it.
Go, Tony.
Go.
No, it'll be an ender. It'll be
we'll end on Tony. Jeremy, you go.
Podcast.
I was just gonna say that, like, I was thinking about the TPE 2 years back, which was Down and Back's first year at the TPE, right? And we went to the award ceremony where Booth accepted the word. Was it this year or last year for Phil? But Michael Herklotz was
2 years ago,
Entrepreneur of the Year.
Right.
I want to have Herklotz. I want to have Herklotz on the show.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
I really want to.
Working on it.
So the thing is I'm sitting, like, they made the mistake of inviting me to open bar. And so by the time the award ceremony started, I was 3 sheets and I was hanging on Mike Giannini, like, talking about how much I love his scarves and wrapping them halfway around my body while Herklotz is being announced. And I'm probably screaming and like shouting out loud because like I'm just having a ball. But the best thing about that was right after that, we were so drunk and I was like, we need to go to a good dinner tonight. And we went to one of my favorite dinners I've ever had. And it wasn't because the place, I mean, like, we ordered everything on the menu and way overspent and drank shot after shot after shot. But it was such an amazing night. And it's funny because
I was there. I think.
Of course.
Yeah.
It reminds me, like, I was reminded by that experience of, like, back when I was a retailer going to the RTDA, and this feeling of like being special when you went to it. And like, there was like a care for who you were and what you were, and the companies wined and dined you. And it wasn't because they wined and dined you that you cared, but it was like you looked forward to it all year long, to like see friends and see people. And I thought to myself that night, like after the fact, because I was 3 sheets, like how much I appreciate like the industry and how like, you know, I switched sides to it. But like that dinner with you, Tony, it was Matt, you, me, and a couple other folk we went to right after the award ceremony. I think I invited Mike Giannini, even though I don't know him well, because I ended up wearing his scarf. I tried to get him to come with me, and he was like, "Boy, you're way too drunk." And and I had such a good time because I was like, dude, I get to work with my friends. Like that's it. Like I get to like hang out with my boys. And then, you know, at the end of the TPE, I remember like us hanging out at the bar that was by there, all of us together, minus Brandon and Zach here. And we were just talking about it. And I remember I was like pulling off Dawn's boots because I thought it sounded like a good idea. And she was entertaining like me, like, because they were like knee highs. And I was like, you shouldn't be wearing these. I want to wear them. And so I tried to put them on. I remember that much. Anyhow, I love you guys. That's what I'm trying to say.
So on that note,
wait a minute. I was supposed to say something.
Oh, you had a meaningful thing. All right.
Remember me? Do you remember Tony? I was there.
Tony, say your meaningful thing, and let's wrap this.
It used to be very meaningful. Now it seems erroneous and tedious. But okay, so Antoine.
This is the portion of the show where Tony gets really small in his camera.
Hold on, he starts going like this.
I know. He starts getting really small.
Hey guys. Love y'all.
We got 5 people left watching. Let's put on a good.
Oh, I can't believe there's still 5 people watching it.
I know.
Antoine gave me actually the first article I've ever had in a magazine.
Oh,
which is incredible to me. So I want to thank you for that. Like, I want to thank you for paying attention to like what we have going on and those things. And Christine, she's the first person that believed in like my brand and the PCA, IPCPR, RTDA. So it's very good to have you guys both on the show to kind of, we were talking about collectability and nostalgia, and I'll always remember what you guys have done for me and my brand and what I believe in. And it's very important to me that you guys know that. So that's it. We can end the broadcast now.
Christine, you're also the first woman to come on the Shoot Your Shot segment. So congratulations. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, wait. She's muted.
Oh,
Hi, my name is Christine. How are you?
Hello. I like Fight Club.
This is
we like Fight Club.
This is a great segment in representation for gaslighting women.
Do you want to see my tattoo? Nope, not showing you.
We've gaslighted Zach before. No. You can't see my tattoo.
Oh, we're getting the finger.
I am going to say goodbye.
I tried to
drink my
unmute her.
drinks. I'm going to drink scotch.
And
I'm
I
not
love
sure
creme
what's going
brulee.
on. And creme brulee is my favorite person on the planet.
All right. Well,
Antoine, man, you're the best, and I appreciate you doing this with us, man.
Yeah, thank you for the invite.
Yeah, and obviously our show is a little more chaotic than other things, but that's like what we are. So I think you knew what you were getting into with us.
I did.
And you've spent time with us, so you knew. But man, I appreciate what you do, like again, for the industry and for us personally as friends. And I look forward to the next time I get to share a drink with you or a cigar or just, spend time with you, man.
Thank you. Same here.
And if you can come back, let's have you back for the roundtable thing.
Yeah, you just tell me when.
And if I can help in any way, bring people that you're interested in trying to get on, if I can use my connects, I'm happy to help you in any way I can with what you're doing, because it has a way bigger platform than ours does.
We don't have much of a platform yet. We're trying to grow
but I dig what you do, man. And you have our full support in whatever way we can help you as well.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, everybody. We will catch you here next Tuesday at 8 p.m. on 4 Shots. Thanks for listening.
Good night, all.
Good night.